My husband of 11 years told me, let's get a divorce. I want to give her a proper title. The next day, we went to the Civil Affairs Bureau. From that day on, he never came home. News of them only reached me through my social media feed. And I, in turn, withdrew all my support for his company, curious to see how far he could go on his own. The sky was clear, the sun was just right, and a gentle breeze was blowing. Leo and I walked into the Civil Affairs Bureau together. The breeze ruffled my hair, and he instinctively reached out to smooth it for me. Seeing this, a clerk at the marriage registration desk warmly invited us to sit down. "Excuse me, we're here for a divorce." My words made the clerk's eyes widen, and they exchanged bewildered glances. We were led into an office, where another clerk asked us the reason for our divorce. Leo pursed his lips, silent. I kindly spoke for him. Irreconcilable differences, incompatible personalities. Though those were the words, everyone knew they were just a formality. The real reason was that Leo had found someone else he wanted to protect with all his heart. The girl was an employee at the coffee shop downstairs from his company. He drove her to and from work, stayed by her bedside when she was sick, and at her university's anniversary celebration, in front of everyone, he provided her with designer clothes, presented her with a huge bouquet of flowers, and even announced that his sponsorship of the event was because his little girlfriend had a performance. He had practically become her guardian angel. As for my reason for agreeing to the divorce, it was even simpler. I don't use other people's trash. Looking at our slightly faded marriage certificate, the clerk, as per procedure, advised us not to be impulsive, to think about the days we had spent together. "I'm busy. Please hurry up." The man's cold words significantly sped up the process. About half an hour later, Leo and I each received a receipt for the mandatory cooling off period. He pressed his lips together tightly. "Sophia, where are you going? I'll give you a ride." Before I could refuse, he strode to the parking lot and drove the car right up to me. I raised my hand, instinctively about to open the passenger door. Then I suddenly remembered. We were no longer husband and wife. Under the man's complex, unreadable gaze, I calmly got into the back seat. The car moved smoothly forward, merging into the traffic. Even from the back, I could see from the half of his face reflected in the rearview mirror that Leo was in a very good mood. "Could you turn up the heat, please? My pollen allergies are worse in the cold." The man silently handed me a pack of tissues. We were childhood sweethearts, knew each other since we were young, dated for 4 years, and were married for 7. He knew perfectly well that I was not allergic to pollen. "Sophia, Mr. Anderson. Please call me MS. Grant or Sophia." "All right, Sophia. I'll be the one to tell our parents about the divorce." Leo always liked to take charge of everything concerning me, and this time was no different. He wasn't always like this. When he was a child, Leo was a tiny, scrawny, introverted, and shy boy. He was constantly bullied in kindergarten. I, on the other hand, was outgoing and, with a strong sense of justice, a veritable little hellion. Out of gratitude for his mother who always prepared delicious snacks for me, I felt obliged to look out for him. I climbed onto the kindergarten's broadcast platform with my short little legs and announced to the entire school, "Leo is under my, Sophia's, protection." That's how Leo survived kindergarten. And as he grew up, he blossomed into the heartthrob of our middle and high school. At that time, I treated him as my sworn brother, but he clung to me every day, helping me with my math, insisting that I go to the same university as him. Later, I did as he wished and went to the same university, and he became the campus idol of a university, and also the stumbling block to my love life. With him around, even though I was beautiful, outgoing, and had countless friends, not a single boy approached me for 4 years, let alone confessed their feelings. On graduation day, Leo took me to the school's Science and Technology Museum. With the help of his friends in the student council, he had the lights of the entire building turned off, illuminating the vast universe just for me, something I had never seen before. He held my hand, and I could feel his palm was sweaty. "Sophia, will you marry me? I swear on my life, I will be good to you for the rest of my life." At that time, I didn't hesitate, but today, facing Leo, I refused without a second thought. "Mr. Anderson, That's my business. You don't need to worry about it. I will handle it. The overly polite and distant tone made Leo frown. After a moment of silence in the car, he asked with a half-smile how I planned to explain it to my parents. Seeing that I remained silent, Leo let out a scoff. Sophia, don't tell me you regret it. Only then did I finally deign to look away from my phone and at him. Can you please just drive and not get distracted? As for the reason, I've already said I'll handle it myself. I had no desire to die in a car crash with my ex-husband on the first day of my single life. Hearing my undisguised dismissiveness, the man's grip on the steering wheel tightened. Music suddenly filled the car. It was Leo's phone, connected to the car's Bluetooth, ringing with a sickly sweet love song that young girls favored these days. Ignoring my presence, Leo answered the call. A girl's gentle and sweet voice filled the car. She whined playfully, saying she had classes all day and had to work at the coffee shop at night, and she was starving. Leo glanced at me, and seeing my unchanged expression, he smiled and said to the girl, I know my little darling is hungry. I'll go buy you your favorite seafood congee and crab roe buns right now. Okay. After their lovey-dovey exchange, the call ended. Without waiting for Leo to say anything, I pointed to the intersection ahead. You can drop me off at the next intersection. The black car pulled over to the side of the road. The moment I got out, I walked away quickly, as if I couldn't wait to leave. It wasn't until the car was out of sight that I clutched my stomach, breaking out in a cold sweat, feeling like I was about to collapse on the sidewalk. 2 months ago, Leo had called me to say he had forgotten a very important document, so I grabbed the document and drove to his company. On the way, a speeding truck, braking suddenly, overturned and crushed my car. Thankfully, I wasn't fated to die, but my left leg suffered a comminuted fracture from the immense impact. At that time, tormented by pain and the fear of permanent disability, I cried and called Leo countless times, but his phone was always off. It was only later that I found out that because that girl had said she had never seen the pigeons in France, he had immediately bought a ticket to Paris. He had spent a whole week with her in Paris, fearing my parents would worry. I didn't tell them. In the end, it was my best friend, Willow, who was with me through the surgery and subsequent rehabilitation. In that moment, I decided, that useless man, I no longer wanted him. I returned home alone and made myself a simple lunch. Just as I was finishing up and about to clean, I received a message from Willow. Sophia, you're not even officially divorced from Leo, and he's already shamelessly celebrating with his mistress. Does he have no shame? Willow's message included a photo of Leo dining with a young woman at a romantic restaurant. It was the same restaurant I had once messaged Leo about, wanting to go with him, but he had declined, saying he was busy. I suddenly felt a strong wave of nausea. In a flash, something clicked in my mind. The next day, I went to the hospital early in the morning. Looking at my blood test report, the doctor told me, congratulations, Ms. Grant. According to the results, you are 13 weeks, or 3 months, pregnant. I was silent for a while. Please schedule a procedure for me. In the first few years of our marriage, Leo couldn't get enough of me. We both desperately wanted a child. However, after so many years, even though there was nothing wrong with either of us physically, we just couldn't conceive. Now that we were getting a divorce, this little one decided to show up. Well, it was just bad luck to arrive at such a time. Just as I walked out of the consultation room, I saw Leo and his darling, Ivy, standing at the door. My grip on my bag tightened. The divorce wasn't even final, and Ivy was already pregnant. Ivy's first reaction upon seeing me was to hide behind Leo, as if I would kill her if she were a second too slow. Seeing me, Leo's brow furrowed with annoyance. He probably thought I had followed them here. What are you doing here? Before I could answer, he continued. Sophia, let's part on good terms. Ivy is not well. Following me like this will only scare her. So I was right. Look closely. I was here first. And this is the obstetrics and gynecology department. Is your little girlfriend pregnant? Leo, don't forget, we're not divorced yet. With that, I turned to leave. But then I heard someone call my name. A handsome man in a white coat was walking towards me. Leo's expression grew even colder. Who is he? How do you know him? The man completely ignored Leo's question and walked straight to me. asking with concern about my injury and how my rehabilitation was going. I smiled. Thanks to Dr. Evans, I can basically walk normally now. Leo suddenly stepped in front of me and grabbed my shoulders. What rehabilitation? Weren't you just lightly grazed? Why would you need rehabilitation? Leo had only heard from his secretary that I was injured and had assumed it was a minor scrape. He never imagined I would be so seriously hurt. In fact, if he had paid any attention to the length of my hospital stay or the way I walked, he would have known it couldn't have been just a minor scrape. Unfortunately, since my injury, he was either busy with work or on a romantic rendezvous with Ivy. Where would he find the extra energy to notice me? How my leg is none of your business, I said coldly. Don't forget, we're in the process of getting a divorce. Hearing this, Leo's face visibly darkened. At this moment, Ivy, for some reason, started to cry and complain to me. She cried so pitifully, making me look like the overbearing third party. Sophia, I've always wanted to apologize to you. I've always advised Leo to cherish you and be good to you. It's all my fault that things have turned out this way. Whether you want to hit me, scold me, or do whatever you want to me, I'll accept it. Faced with Ivy's pretentious apology, I remained composed. First, I'm an only child. Second, this isn't a movie. No matter how well you act, you can only fool Leo. And third, your acting is really not that good. Seeing that I was unfazed and didn't rush towards her as she had expected, Ivy froze for a moment, then clutched her stomach and looked at Leo with a deeply aggrieved expression. A look of deep heartache appeared in the man's eyes. He slowly pulled Ivy into his arms, wiping her tears as he reprimanded me. Sophia, the cooling off period is 29 days. You know my temper. Don't try to cause trouble. If we really have to tear each other's faces off, you'll be the one who ends up embarrassed. After Leo left with Ivy, Dr. Evans came to my side. Sophia, are you okay? That's how people are. When you're facing everything alone, you feel nothing. But the moment you receive a little concern from others, you can't help but feel wronged. I looked at Dr. Evans with a weary expression. Can I ask you a favor? Before I could even say what it was, he had already agreed. With Dr. Evans's help, I had the abortion procedure done smoothly that day. As I was being wheeled out of the operating room, I thought I saw a familiar figure, but I was too weak to think much of it and didn't pay much attention. After the surgery, Leo never heard from me again, neither by phone nor by message. The more I had clung to him before, the quieter I was now. A week later, a reeking of alcohol, Leo brought Ivy back to our home. He held her as they kissed their way from the door to our bedroom. Little did they know, I was in the walk-in closet, changing. After changing, I walked up to them. Excuse me, I need to get out. The air seemed to freeze. Seeing me, Leo instinctively let go of Ivy and then turned to his little darling and said softly, Ivy, you go out first. Ivy glared at me, then obediently turned and left the bedroom. Her beauty was like a blooming peach, her charm like the wind. While I was turning to choose a bag, Leo silently came up behind me. He reached out his arms, trapping me between the cabinet and himself. Sophia, dressed like this at this hour, are you going to meet some other man? I never thought the used goods I'm throwing away would be in such high demand. Dressed like what? A top and a short skirt, a common sight on the street. Why did it sound so vulgar coming from his mouth? And used goods. What a bastard. When did this man become so shameless? Why hadn't I noticed before? I tried to push him, but he wouldn't budge. So I had to resort to my hands. I slapped him hard across the face. Like what? Used goods. Is this your level of decency? Don't forget, although we're in a cooling off period, I can change my mind at any time. Don't blame me then for making your beloved little darling a mistress for life. Taking advantage of his stunned state, I pushed him away and strode out of the closet. In the living room, I unfortunately ran into Ivy, who was drinking a glass of water. Sophia, you look so beautiful. Do you have a date? I didn't expect you to move on so quickly. Ivy's words trailed off. Leo gritted his teeth, seemingly about to say some more insulting garbage. I casually took the glass of water and splashed the warm water in Ivy's face. If you don't watch your mouth, it won't be as simple as just washing it for you. My phone rang. With a satisfied smile, I answered it and walked towards the door. Seeing my cheerful back, Leo followed with a cold face, until he saw me get into a silver sedan and drive away without a backward glance, leaving him with a cloud of exhaust fumes. Sophia, are you sure about this? The man in the driver's seat spoke. He had a stern face. His eyes were slightly heavy, filled with an unconcealable heartache. You know me. Once I've made up my mind, I never change it. Hayden, will you help me? I looked at Hayden, my gaze unwavering. Hayden lowered his head and chuckled. Then his hands tightened on the steering wheel. He looked ahead, his voice soft but firm. You know, Sophia, I would never refuse you anything. I'll help you. The car stopped in front of a bar. I got out and pushed the door open. The atmosphere in the private room was lively. They were already chatting before I arrived. Sophia, you're finally here. We've been waiting for you for ages. Yeah, you organized this. And you're the last to arrive. You have to take a penalty shot. I walked in and sat down, readily agreeing. These people were my capital, my network, and the reason Leo's company could grow. This room was full of friends I had maintained relationships with for years. Some I had known since middle and high school. Others I had met after Leo started his own business in college. But one thing they all had in common was that they were all clients of Leo's company, his golden patrons, whether past or present. Even the past partners were well known in the industry. People Leo couldn't afford to offend. Seeing that the mood was right, I spoke up and announced the purpose of our gathering. Leo and I are getting a divorce. The room instantly fell silent. Only the song they had chosen was still playing. Fittingly, it was singing. Once upon a time, there was someone who loved you for a long time. Someone quickly turned off the music. How could that be? You guys dated for so many years. And you've been married for 7. Clearly, they remembered the 7-year itch. I said nonchalantly. He cheated. We went to the Civil Affairs Bureau last week. His little sparrow is pregnant. The room exploded. Some cursed. Some felt sorry for me. But I didn't care anymore. Now I just wanted him to go back to how he was without me. It wasn't really revenge. Just to see what he would be like without my help from the beginning. Would he still be so successful? Or would he be a nobody? A failure? I was looking forward to it. His company has been a great help to you all in the past. From now on, you don't have to anymore. Just stop everything. They would naturally agree. After all, their previous help was all for my sake. Back then, Leo was in his 3rd year of college. He and his roommates had made a small game for fun. But it was noticed by a game company. They were arrogant at the time and looked down on the terms offered by the game company. So they decided to start their own company and develop game software. In the first few months, they focused solely on the game, thinking the company was moving forward smoothly. When the game was about 70–80% complete, problems started to arise. For the company to be profitable, it needed promotion and to be launched on various platforms. All of this required professional business development to negotiate with various companies. But Leo and his friends were typical engineering guys. Asking them to negotiate with clients was like asking for their lives. During that time, Leo was constantly frowning. Although he tried his best to hide his emotions in front of me, his inner anxiety and restlessness were obvious. I couldn't bear to see him worried about these things every day. So I told him to just focus on developing the game, and I would take care of the rest. At first, Leo refused, thinking he could handle it. He even comforted me, saying he would take care of everything and I should just wait to marry him and become a rich man's wife after graduation. I didn't say anything and just let him be. Later, the company was only spending money and not making any, and he became more and more anxious. Until one day, he took the initiative to ask me to help him negotiate with other companies about launching the game. I readily agreed. In fact, I had already started researching potential partner companies for him the last time we talked about it. So I had already done the preliminary research. With my outgoing personality and the network I had built in various industries, Leo's game was soon launched on various platforms. From then on, Leo's company took off. And in the 2nd year after graduation, which was a year after we got married, it was dubbed a new internet giant. And from then on, I had been helping him with all aspects of public relations, media, trending topics, client platforms. I was the one operating behind the scenes. And after I negotiated the first deal for him, he gave me a 1/6 share of the company. Now, The first thing I had to do was to sell my shares as soon as possible before my friends started to act. If I waited, they wouldn't be worth much. The night I announced I was selling my shares, I received a call from Leo. A deafening roar came from the phone, as if I had committed some heinous crime. Sophia, who gave you the nerve to sell your shares without telling me? How dare you? I toyed with my manicure, saying nonchalantly, you don't even want me anymore. Why would I still be involved with your company? Leo was so angry he was incoherent, but there was nothing he could do. After a while, his tone softened. If you want to sell, I won't stop you. Name your price. I'll buy them. Oh, Mr. Anderson is so generous. I won't ask for much. Let's just go by the market price. But that's just the price of the shares. The marital assets will be divided as we agreed. 60% for me, 40% for you. Hearing my words, Leo was silent for 2 seconds. I don't have that much on hand. How about this? You transfer the shares to me, and all the marital assets are yours. Hearing this, I was stunned for a moment. Then I started to calculate the approximate value in my head. No, your 40% isn't enough to buy my shares. And you've spent quite a bit on your little sparrow, haven't you? I have the right to reclaim that. Sophia, don't go too far. Know when to stop. He warned me through gritted teeth, but I was fearless. I suggest you come up with a better plan, or I'll sell them to someone else. Fine. Besides all the marital assets, I'll give you my 3 marital penthouses in the city center. Is that enough? Hearing this, I smiled faintly. Then thank you, Mr. Anderson. I'll see you at the company tomorrow to sign the contract. 2 weeks later, one morning, I came home and opened the door. As soon as I walked in, I saw a man sitting on the sofa. I was startled. It was Leo. He must have been up all night. His white shirt was wrinkled. His eyes were deep, unreadable. Leo gritted his teeth and roared at me. Sophia, what did you do to Ivy this time? His voice was hoarse and unpleasant. Not just me, but he himself was startled by the sound. What did I do? Besides, whatever I did, it has nothing to do with you now, does it? I said nonchalantly. Leo's face grew even darker. Where were you all last night? Why didn't you come home? His interrogating tone made me very uncomfortable. I couldn't help but roll my eyes at him. Whether I come home or not should have nothing to do with you. Just as I was about to ignore him and go to my bedroom, Leo called out to me in a cold voice. Sophia, I'm warning you for the last time. Don't let your friends harass Ivy. My patience has its limits. His words made it clear what he was talking about. Willow was a renowned barista. A few days ago, to vent my anger, she had, in front of all the staff and customers at the coffee shop, specifically requested a coffee made by Ivy herself. After one sip, she had criticized everything from the grind to the temperature to the technique. The publicly shamed Ivy had run out of the coffee shop in tears and was almost hit by a car. To this, I had only one comment. Willow was just doing her job. Does she have to report that to you too? A bit too sensitive, isn't she? I watched Leo's face darken with a smile, and continued. It's not just you. My patience has its limits too. This apartment was bought by me before we were married. It's my marital property. I'll have the locks changed at 3 this afternoon. You'd better pack your things. I won't wait. Anything left after 3 will be cleared out by the cleaning service. As for where it will be cleared out to, I'm sure you don't want to know. Right. With that, I walked back to my bedroom and slammed the door. When I came out again, Leo was gone, having left in a huff. The next day, Willow excitedly informed me that there was a class reunion next week. But unfortunately, I had other engagements that day. After I told her the location of my engagement, Willow said the reunion would be held there too. And after her repeated assurances that Leo would not be there, I agreed to make a brief appearance. But when I pushed the door open, I saw that pair of shameless adulterers. Ivy was clinging to Leo's arm, as if she had already successfully taken my place. A picture of a petty victor. In college, Leo and I were known throughout the school as a perfect couple. We got married right after graduation, and the whole school knew about it. Now, in front of his former classmates, they were inseparable. Their posture intimate, chatting with many of our former professors. However, the expressions on the faces of the classmates and teachers in the room were not very good. My relationship with them was much better than Leo's. I don't know where he got the courage to bring his mistress to a class reunion so openly. Seeing me, a professor walked over. Sophia, what's going on with you two? Professor, Leo cheated. It's the one he brought with him. I found out and divorced him. We're in the cooling off period now. Hearing my words, the teachers and classmates looked at each other in dismay. The classmates who were chatting with Leo and Ivy also immediately turned cold. I had no shame about getting a divorce. Today, I was going to nail Leo and Ivy to the pillar of shame and burn them. Leo never expected me to say it out loud. I saw him glare at me, and I just gave him a slight nod. Then I turned and chatted and laughed with the teachers and classmates. When it was about time, I excused myself, as I still had an engagement to attend. Just as I stepped out, someone grabbed my arm from behind. I turned to see it was Leo. Is the problem with the company you're doing? Oh, so they've already started to act. Counting the days. The cooling off period has been 29 days. Tomorrow is the 30th. I should be able to get my divorce certificate then. What does your company have to do with me? I've sold you the shares and withdrawn all my business. Now you want to blame it on me. Leo was stunned for a moment, probably not expecting me to be able to let go of the company's affairs so easily. I have something to do. Oh, by the way, tomorrow is the last day of the cooling off period. See you at the Civil Affairs Bureau at 10 a.m. the day after tomorrow. With that, I turned and went to another private room. Compared to arguing with him, making money was more important. I pushed open the door to the private room and heard Hayden's greeting. Sophia, I saved you a seat. Come and sit. Hayden whispered to me. Why are you so late? Have something to eat. I had known Hayden for a long time. He went to the same high school as me and Leo. He was just 2 years ahead of us. When Leo and I were freshmen, he was already a senior. I was very sociable. When I heard that the senior Hayden was not only tall and handsome but also intelligent, and had been admitted to Q University early, I had wanted to get to know this legendary school idol. Later, during a morning exercise, I was tripped by and that day, Hayden happened to be on duty. After he took me to the infirmary, I took the initiative to get his contact information. After that, whenever I saw him at school, I would always greet him and chat with him. Because of him, I even joined the student council and was in the same publicity department as him. But he was just a nominal minister at the time, while I, with my years of drawing experience, was in charge of designing the promotional posters for various events. I got to know him better starting with the publicity activities for the school's sports meet. He was in charge of the overall coordination of the publicity department. Because I had to check and discuss the poster content with him, our interactions became more frequent. Chatting with Hayden was very comfortable. There was always a lot to talk about, any topic under the sun, so it was inevitable that we became close. Even after he graduated and went to university, we never lost touch. Unlike the quiet and reserved Leo, who always needed me to find topics of conversation, if I didn't take the initiative, Leo probably wouldn't contact me for 10 days or even half a month. And Leo's title of school idol in high school only came after Hayden graduated. The day we got our divorce certificate was similar to the day we got our marriage certificate. Early autumn. Not too hot, but not yet a chilly autumn wind. The temperature, the sunlight, the breeze. Everything was just right. Just as we walked out of the hall, I saw Ivy waiting at the door, looking eager. Seeing us come out, she immediately walked towards Leo, as if she hoped he would go right back in and get a marriage certificate with her. I, on the other hand, walked towards Hayden, who was waiting for me outside. Seeing the man waiting for me was not only not inferior to Leo, but even better. Ivy's heart grew even more unbalanced. Is that Sophia's boyfriend? She has a boyfriend right after getting a divorce. Hearing this, I stopped, turned, and walked towards Ivy. I slapped her hard across the face. It's your business if you love being a mistress. It doesn't mean everyone is like you. Watch your little sparrow. I'm not one to hold back. Then, ignoring Leo's ugly expression, I turned and walked out, getting into the car and leaving. In the car, I told Hayden he didn't have to hold back for my sake anymore. It was time to pull out completely. The problems with Leo's company before were just them playing around because my divorce certificate hadn't arrived yet. Now that everything was settled, they could go all out. Less than a month later, I saw news about Leo. Almost all the salespeople in his company had resigned, and business had nearly come to a halt. The new hires knew nothing. It would take at least a month for them to get up to speed, and by then, the company might not even exist. Another half a month passed. I was on my way home after dinner with Willow. From a distance, I saw a figure pacing in front of my house. As the car drove closer, I realized it was Leo. He wasn't with his beloved little sparrow, enjoying their sweet time. What was he doing here? Sophia, you're back. How have you been? Leo's words gave me a headache. What was this now? Stop. 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 Mr. Anderson. Please just call me Miss Grant. May I ask why you're here? Interrupted by me. Leo seemed a little dazed. Sophia. The problem with my company. Was it your doing? What problem with your company? Can you please stop blaming everything on me? Am I some kind of despicable person? Seeing my impatient face, Leo was a little at a loss. Mr. Anderson, please go back. I haven't interfered in your company's affairs since I sold you the shares. If there's a problem, don't come to me. I was about to go home when, before I could close the door, I heard Leo say, Ivy broke up with me. After the company ran into trouble, she ran off with a large sum of my money. She also had an abortion. I've reported it to the police. My hand on the door paused. What does that have to do with me? From now on, you don't need to tell me, an irrelevant person, about your business. Oh, by the way, Mr. Anderson, the day we met at the obstetrics and gynecology clinic, you never asked me why I was there. Leo was stunned for a long time, as if he had thought of something. He looked at me with red-rimmed eyes, speechless. Then I closed the door. Leo's last words came through. Is it really impossible for us anymore? What was he thinking? Things had come to this point, and he was still thinking about getting back together. I'm not a masochist. I never saw Leo again after that. I just kept hearing news about him from others. Leo reported Ivy to the police. After she was caught, they found out she was a habitual scammer and she was sentenced to 20 years. Leo was not the first nor the last of her victims, just the one who had lost the most. The game Leo had developed was successively removed from all major platforms, with incalculable losses. The new hires couldn't secure deals with other platforms, so the company just limped along. The shareholders of Leo's company withdrew their investments one after another, and the company faced bankruptcy. Leo's company declared bankruptcy, and he himself disappeared. Later, I heard from Hayden that Leo had returned to our old neighborhood. He had used the last of his money, $200,000, to buy a burial plot. He had set up an empty grave for our child. No, our child was never born, so it wasn't really an empty grave. I heard he went to the cemetery every day to see the child's tombstone. He insisted it was a daughter, and the information on the tombstone was for a daughter. I heard his parents introduced him to countless blind dates, but when the women heard his last marriage had ended because of his own infidelity, there was no follow-up. I heard Leo had become very quiet and hadn't spoken for a long time. I heard his parents had moved out of the old neighborhood for his sake. I heard, later, there was gradually no more news about Leo, and in the 3rd year after my divorce, I accepted Hayden's pursuit. A year later, Hayden and I got married. The wedding was very grand. Although it was my 2nd marriage, Hayden didn't care about that at all. Don't be silly. It's my 2nd marriage. Why are you making it so big? Aren't you afraid people will laugh? I toyed with his ear, while also trying to dissuade him. Hayden lay in my arms, his head rubbing against my stomach. It's your 2nd marriage, but it's my 1st. Let's do it like a 1st marriage. I'd like to see who dares to laugh. I didn't know before we got together that Hayden had such a playful and coquettish side. Before, he was the image of a mature and successful man. Why are you so playful? You weren't like this before. I smiled helplessly. Before we were together, I had to put on an act. Now that I have you, why should I pretend anymore? He was so shameless. At the wedding, I thought I saw Leo. He was standing in a corner, so thin he was almost unrecognizable. He was wearing a suit I had bought for him when we were still married. The suit, which had once fit him perfectly, now looked a little loose. He was holding a bouquet of flowers similar to the one he had used to propose to me. When I looked over again, he was gone. Maybe I was mistaken.